Okay, this is Ralph Waldo Emerson, academic hero number 8. He lived from 1803 to 1882. He was a great American philosopher and writer. And I like Ralph Waldo Emerson because I remember him when I was in high school. It was sort of the spring of my junior year, and I really didn't like school that much. It was just something I had to try to get good grades, so my parents would let me go out on the weekends. And then I had an English teacher who liked Ralph Waldo Emerson and would read aloud a lot of his quotes and whatnot in class. And this was something different than the same old stuff. Ralph Waldo Emerson was inspiring. He encouraged you to think for yourself. And I liked it. It was sort of like a intellectual awakening for a young person instead of just going through high school in a stupor. And I found that I liked him. Beyond that, later on, I sort of came back to him and read about it. That's one of the benefits of high school and college is that you get exposed to certain things that you can go back to later. You know where to look. Okay, so here's some quotes from Ralph Waldo Emerson. Oh, by the way, his sort of school of philosophy was called Transcendentalism. He was friends with Thoreau and some other writers and philosophers of his time. And basically the impression I got, he was pretty nice and he tried to help people. And I like him. He's very positive and upbeat. Okay, so here's some quotes from Ralph Waldo Emerson. God offers to every mind its choice between truth and repose. Take what you please, but you can never have both. And that's unfortunately real true. If you pursue the truth and try to learn it and develop it, you're always going to be running into obstacles and problems. But on the other hand, if you don't, then it's boring. Okay, here's the next one. Conversation is the laboratory and workshop of the student. Yes, that's true. For students really to learn, they have to have conversations with their friends or their teachers or other persons interested in the topic. Yeah, that's how you really learn, is when you think about the material and you compare it to your own life and the relevance to your own life. Ralph Waldo Emerson continues, the book, the college, the school of art, the institution of any kind, they stop with the past. This is good, they say. Let us hold by this. They pin me down. They look backward, not forward. But genius looks forward. Man hopes, genius creates. Okay, that came from The American Scholar. I loved The American Scholar and Self-Reliance when I heard those essays. And again, what Emerson gets into, and anybody that's going to be smart, you have to think for yourself. The world is constantly trying to BS you and lie to you and rip you off. So if you're ever going to be smart, you got to learn how to trust yourself. And a huge part of intellectual skill is just trusting yourself and being confident in your own judgment. I mean, you've got your own best interests at heart, so develop your mind as best you can. Emerson continues, a foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of small minds. Speak what you think now in hard words, and tomorrow speak what tomorrow thinks in hard words again, though it contradict everything you said today. Emerson continues, a man's library is a sort of harem. Now that's obviously a figurative quote, but I knew some guys in college for that wasn't that figurative. Okay, Emerson continues, in every work of genius, we recognize our own rejected thoughts. They come back to us with a certain alienated majesty. Great works of art have no more affecting lesson for us than this. They teach us to abide by our spontaneous impression, with good-humored inflexibility, the most, when the whole cry of voices is on the other side. To believe in your own thought, to believe that what is true for you in your private heart is true for all men, that is genius. Okay, Ralph Waldo Emerson. So yeah, I mean, the point he's making here is you learn to trust yourself. Most people are pretty smart when they put their mind to it. They just have to focus and trust themselves. Okay, Emerson continues about public speaking. The orator, he then learns that going down into the secrets of his own mind, he has descended into the secrets of all minds. The deeper he dives into his privatest, secretest presentiment, to his wonder he finds this is the most acceptable, most public, and universally true. The people delight in it. The best of all ways to make one's reading valuable is to write about it. Now that's true. If you ever really want to learn a subject, write a book about it. Teach a class about it. Give lectures about it. That'll get you to learn it. Aristotle said the same thing. Best way to learn something well is to teach it, or to confirm that you know it is to teach it. Okay. Emerson continues. Men are what their mothers made of them. Yeah, having a good mom makes a tremendous difference in a person's life. And Freud said something like that too. The expectations a mother has for a child have a very strong influence on them. I'm going to bet it's more for sons than daughters. I don't know for sure, but I've seen a lot of guys that their moms really sort of saved their life in many ways. Okay, Emerson continues. As many languages as he has, as many friends, arts, and trades, so many times is he a man. The secret of education lies in respecting the pupil. It is not for you to choose what he shall know, what he shall do. He alone only holds the key to his own secret. Yeah, you got to teach people some basics, how to read and whatnot, but after that, they need to have more independence, and that's been shown by other great educators. The earlier students start having some more independence to do good things, intellectual projects, the better they develop intellectually. Okay, Emerson continues. Many times the reading of a book has made the fortune of the reader. Yep, that's true too. And you got to read a lot of books to find a good one. You might have to read 10 books to find a great book. And, avoid a whole bunch of them, in choosing on the way, but that great book, it opens up all kinds of doors. All right, Emerson continues. We are shut up in schools and college recitation rooms for 10 or 15 years and come out at last with a belly full of words and do not know a thing. Yeah, that's real true. Students have a lot of experience, but they tend to have very little practical knowledge, young students. Emerson continues. Liberty is an accurate index in men and nations of general progress. Yeah, that's true. Somebody who likes somebody and wants the best for them encourages their freedom and individuality. Individuality is where interesting things, creativity and achievement and new insights come from. When there's excessive pressure to conform, that's usually not a good environment for development. Okay, Emerson continues. It is a luxury to be understood. Yeah, that's true. Anybody's that got good ideas, interesting ideas, new ideas, nonconformist ideas, they're always going to be misunderstood most of the time. Emerson continues. The value of a principle is in the number of things it will explain. Yeah, like Alzheimer's. Vascular theory of Alzheimer's. I don't even hate using that word Alzheimer's. It's dementia. Vascular theory of dementia tells you all kinds of ways you can lower your risk. The beta amyloid theory, doesn't tell you anything what to do. Okay, you cannot do a kindness too soon because you never know how soon it will be too late. Universities, of course, are hostile to geniuses who, seeing and using ways of their own, discredit the routine. That is very true. All these educational institutions, including medical schools, they just want you to memorize what you're told, to shut up and go with that. If you do anything new and creative, you'll actually run into getting hassled. It's sad, but it's true. Okay, Emerson continues. Do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail. The scholar is that man who must take up into himself all the ability of the time, all the contributions of the past, all the hopes of the future. It is for you to know all. Yeah, as a scholar, you have to want to master your own domain and all the domains next to it in order to become a true, really good expert. And you have to want it. And the reason why I like Emerson here as well is because you have to get yourself psyched up. It takes a ton of energy. If the average student is studying 4 hours a day, a good student is studying 6 hours a day, a great student should be studying 10 hours a day. And that's just the way it is, okay? If you want to be a great student, a great scholar, that's what it takes. And in order to have that type of energy, you have to love it. You have to believe that's your destiny in life, what God wants for you. And if you don't feel that way, well, then you're probably not going to achieve too much. Okay, Emerson continues. Enthusiasm is one of the most powerful engines of success. When you do a thing, do it with all your might. Put your whole soul into it. Stamp it with your own personality. Be active, be energetic, be enthusiastic, and faithful. I've had people ask me for advice about how to become a better student. And when I start talking about personal philosophy, their eyes roll like I'm being weird or goofy or autistic or something. And I'm like, you don't understand. You need to build up a personal philosophy that energizes you so that you can't wait to study. Okay, Emerson continues. The first wealth is health. A foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of small minds. With consistency, a great soul simply has nothing to do. Society everywhere is in conspiracy against the manhood of its members. The virtue in most request is conformity. Self-reliance is its aversion. It loves not realities and creators, but names and customs. Emerson continues, if you cannot be free, be as free as you can. Whoso would be a man must be a nonconformist. For nonconformity, the world whips you with its displeasure. Emerson continues, talent alone cannot make a writer. There must be a man behind the book, a personality which by birth and quality is pledged to the doctrines there set forth, and which exists to see and state things so and not otherwise. Emerson continues, meek young men grow up in libraries believing it is their duty to accept the views which Cicero, which Locke, which Bacon have given, forgetful that Cicero, Locke, and Bacon were only young men in libraries when they wrote those books. Pythagoras was misunderstood, and Socrates, and Jesus, and Luther, and Copernicus, and Galileo, and Newton, and every pure and wise spirit that ever took flesh. To be great is to be misunderstood. Okay, now Emerson's going to give his summary of what he thinks is necessary for a scholar. The office of the scholar is to cheer, to raise, and to guide men by showing them facts amidst appearances. He plies the slow, unhonored, and unpaid task of observation. But he is in his private observatory, cataloging obscure and nebulous stars of the human mind, which as yet no man has thought of as such, watching days and months and sometimes for just a few facts. Correcting still his old records, he must relinquish display and immediate fame. In the long period of his preparation, he must betray often an ignorance and shiftlessness in popular arts, incurring the disdain of the able who shoulder him aside. Long he must stammer in his speech, often forego the living for the dead. Worse yet, he must accept, how often, poverty and solitude for the ease and pleasure of treading the old road, accepting the fashions, the education, the religion of society. He takes the cross of making his own, and the position of virtual hostility in which he seems to stand in society, and especially educated society. For all this, loss and scorn, what offset? He is to find consolation in exercising the highest functions of human nature. He is the one who raises himself from private considerations and breathes and lives on public and illustrious thoughts. He is the world's eye. He is the world's heart. He is to resist the vulgar prosperity that retrogrades ever into barbarism by preserving and communicating heroic sentiments, noble biographies, melodious verse, and the conclusions of history. These he shall receive, and these he shall impart. These being his functions, it becomes him to feel all confidence in himself and to defer never to the popular cry. He and he only knows the world. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Okay, this is the last page. Wherever the truth is injured, defend it. Wherever the truth is injured, defend it. Ralph Waldo Emerson. To laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition. To know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded. Ralph Waldo Emerson, 1803 to 1882.